But when people are fixated on the weight and they just want the magical meal plan that will make them lose weight without changing anything, that's when people run into trouble.
Yeah. So from a nutritional perspective, when it comes to gut health,
Mhm.
do you find that people, obviously, ultra processed food, never good, but everyone has sort of their own unique dietary interactions. So do you find that you have to kind of drill down with people to like what's unique to them to be able to work on their gut health?
Yeah, so a lot of people these days are sensitive to some things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Very common lactose, just because we lose the ability to digest lactose as we get older. Most of us do,
Mm-hmm.
um, and more common these days is also the FODMAPs. So things like onions and garlic and cauliflower, cabbage, all the gassy foods.
Yeah, yeah.
So with that, as you know, Monash Uni here in Melbourne has a protocol of elimination of FODMAPs, and then you reintroduce just to find out what's the tolerance for that person. Because obviously, all those foods that go out of their diet for a little bit just to see which ones are causing a problem are healthy foods otherwise.
Right.
Avocados, asparagus, and apples, and things like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of people go through this exercise because it is very common for people to report issues with all those things. Also beans, lentils, things that are otherwise healthy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I did some labs a few years back where it tests your kind of food sensitivities and all that, and it's pretty robust. It gave me a pretty like extensive list of foods, my superfoods, so foods that are particularly good for my gut microbiome, foods that are good for it, and then foods to minimize and foods to avoid completely. And it was a it was kind of disheartening to see like all the things that I should avoid or minimize because a lot of it's like egg yolks was on there. Like I love egg yolks.
So those tests can be a little tricky. So it depends
Hmm.
on what they're testing, if they're testing IgA or IgE or whatever. It is not. You should not take them as gospel. You
Well,
should.
I still eat egg yolks, so
Yeah, good, 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 because they're super nutritious. Yeah, so I take those tests with a grain of salt because at the end of the day, if you eat egg yolks and you don't have any reaction, there's no reason for you to avoid them just because a test that is not necessarily super accurate told you so.
yeah, I'm always curious about that, and I know that some people have like very traceable sensitivities, kind of like you were saying. You eliminate a bunch of stuff, they feel great, and then you start to introduce things back and see when they start to feel bad again.
Hmm.
Um, and I've done that with very specific things like gluten. Like I know that like if I go off of gluten for a while and then go back on gluten, it gives me problems. Like
Hmm.
it's very obvious to me that that's a thing.
Hmm.
Um, but I haven't really like done that extensively with anything else. And
Hmm.
so I'm always kind of curious. Like I know that I after having certain types of meals, I feel bloated, but I haven't really made the effort to like be like, okay, I'm gonna dissect that and then scale back on certain things for a while and then bring it back and see what happens. So I'm I'm kind of curious now because you mentioned like the FODMAP thing, where there's like specific types of food that would do that.
Hmm.
Yeah, how do you kind of work that with people? Like, how do you figure out what to take them off of, um,
Well, if
and then
follow
bring back?
yeah, so following the protocol, it's pretty. It's a standard set of things that are eliminated in the first
Okay.
few weeks, which are the foods that are high in FODMAPs, which are a lot. So we only do that if, number one, going back to the eating disorders, disorder eating spectrum, if that person is in on that spectrum or at risk, we do not do this.
Okay.
If the person is a teenager or pregnant or something like that, we do not do this
Yeah.
as well, because otherwise it's too much risk. Or if they are like an older person who's at risk of malnutrition or something like that, it's not worth it really. But otherwise, if it's a person who is healthy, etc., then there's a set things that are eliminated until they feel better. Usually it takes about 4 6 weeks. If they don't feel better, then we need to see what's going on, because it can be something else.